Hey guys, this is Shankar welcoming you on my YouTube channel Study with the Master. Here I am going to teach you the constitutional development of India, and this session will be in the question and answer format. So this is presented by me. I'm Shankar Yadav, you know it well. And one thing more which I want to clear, that is, if you are preparing for NDA and CDS and IAS species examination in English language, then it is must for you, because through this you can develop your English and you can become the master of this language, and you can do something big in your life. You can achieve something big in your life. You can do something great in your life. So dear, we are going to start the session. The session is starting here. The first question is, consider the following provisions of Government of India Act 1935. Establishment of an all Indian Federation. This is to be correct. And next is provincial autonomy with the government responsible to an elected legislation. This is also correct. Redistribution of provinces and creation of two new provinces. Which of the following were embodied in the Government of India Act? So this is not embodied, though these two were embodied. It means the answer is 1 and 2. So the answer which is given here, we are going to study once again. The Government of India Act 1935. This act ended the system of diarchy introduced by Government of India Act 1919 and provided for establishment of a Federation of India to be made up of provinces of British India and some or all of the princely states. However, the federation never came into being as the required number of princely states did not join it. So dear, I have taught you the first question. We are going to study the next question, which is given here. With reference to the colonial period of India, the trade monopoly of East India Company was ended by the trade monopoly of East India Company was ended by Article 8 Act of the Charter Act of 1813. So the Charter Act of 1813 was an act of the Parliament of United Kingdom which renewed the charter issued to the British East India Company and continued to the company's rule in India. And however, the company's commercial monopoly was ended, except for the tea trade and trade with China, reflecting the growth of British power in India. So this is given here. The next question is, consider the following statement with reference to the provision of Morley Minto Reform Act in the colonial India. So Morley Minto Reform of 1909 is talking about this. Which is correct? Which statement is correct? We are going to find out. The first statement is, the Morley Minto Reform Act raised the number of additional number of central legislature. This is correct. It introduced the principle of communal representation in the legislature. This is also correct. It empowered the legislature to discuss the budget and more resolution. This is also correct. So the answer is 3C, 1 to 3 is right answer. We are going to study something more about this question. The Morley Minto Reform Act considerably increased the size of legislative council, both central and provincial. The number of members in the central legislative council was raised from 16 to 60, and the number of members in the provincial legislative council was not uniform. It enlarged the deliberative function of the legislative council at both the levels. For example, members were allowed to ask supplementary questions, move resolutions on the budget, and so on. It introduced a system of communal representation for Muslims by accepting the concept of separate electorate. Under this, the Muslim members were to be elected only by Muslim voters. So all the statements are correct. So the answer, whatever I have given, that is correct. So we are going to study the next question. Two independent states of India and Pakistan were created by. The two independent states of India and Pakistan were created by the Indian Independence Act. The Indian Independence Act 1947 C class 30 10 and 11 0 of 6 is an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom that partitions British India into the two new independent dominions of India and Pakistan. The act received the royal assent on 1947, and thus the India and Pakistan comprising West modern day Pakistan and East modern day Bangladesh regions came into being on 15 August. So this was the right answer. So the next question is, this is given in the format of assertion and reason. Assertion means kathan, reason means karan. So this is given here. What is the statement? The assertion: the Government of India Act 1919 was passed by British Parliament to introduce diarchy in the provincial government. So this is correct. Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Committee has recommended the introduction of diarchy in the provincial government. So this is a statement which is correct in the form of explanation. So both is correct and R is the right explanation of A. So the answer is A. One. First one is the answer. The next question is given here. The Regulating Act of 1773 was passed by British Parliament in order to establish parliamentary control over the administration of East India Company territory in India. That is correct. Make the Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal. That is also correct. End of dual system of administration in India. Which of these statements are correct? So in this, so all the statement is correct. So here is the answer. We are going to study the explanation. Explanation is given here. The Regulating Act of 1773 Act is of great constitutional importance, as it was the first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of East India Company in India. It recognized for the first time the political and administrative function of the company, and it laid the foundation of the central administration in India. It designated the Governor of Bengal as the Governor General of Bengal and created an executive council of 4 members to assist him. The first such Governor General was Lord Warren Hastings. So this is the answer of the question. We are going to study the next question, which is given here. The first definite step to provide parliamentary control over East India Company was taken by Regulating Act 1773. This was the answer. The first definite step to provide parliamentary control over East India Company was taken by the Regulating Act 1773. So the explanation which is given here, the Regulating Act of 1773 is of great constitutional importance, as it was the first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of the East India Company in India. It recognized for the first time the political and administrative function of the company, and it laid the foundation of central administration in India. So that is the answer which I have taught you. So the next question is, the Montagu-Chelmsford reform formed the basis of. It formed the basis of the Government of India Act 1919. So this is the basis of Montagu-Chelmsford reform. The Government of India Act 1919 was passed by the British Parliament to further expand the partition of Indians in the Government of India. Since the Act embodied reforms as recommended by a report of Edwin Montagu, Secretary of State for India, and Lord Chelmsford, Viceroy and Governor General. It is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford reforms or simply Montfort reforms. The most notable feature of the act was end of the benevolent despotism, end of the benevolent despotism, and introduction of responsible government in India. This act covered 10 years from 1919 to 1929. So this was the answer. The next question is Government of India Act 1935 and the Constitution of India are both lengthy documents. The Government of India Act 1935 takes as a model and substantially incorporated in the Constitution of India. So A is correct, B is correct, and R is the right explanation of this. So the answer must be this. Though the answer in the form of explanation is given here. The Government of India Act 1935 and the Constitution of India are both lengthy documents. The Government of India Act 1935 was taken as a model and substantially incorporated in the Constitution of India. So the last question and its answer will be, so which of the following were commercial activities of East India Company finally put an end? Finally put an end. It was put an end through 1813, but the tea trade and with China trade will continue. But through the Charter of Act of 1833, it was put an end completely. The Charter Act of 1833 ended the activities of East India Company as a commercial body, which became a purely administrative body thereafter. It provided that the company's territories in India were held by its interest for His Majesty, his heirs, and successors. So, in this way, I have taught you 10 questions. These were the very important questions which were asked in several examinations like CDS NDA, CDS NDA, SSC CGL, and IAS examination. So, dear, I am very here to teach you this in this way so that you can perform your best and you can do something great in your life and you can achieve something big in your life. So with these words, I am going to end my video. Like, share and subscribe my video and press the bell icon and do comment please. Thank you very much.